going on, YouTube? What's happening, Mo? What's going on? We out here. It's the first episode of a late night at Dames. I'm happy to be here. Hope y'all are happy to be here. So essentially what this will be is kind of like a hub for a conversation about either the music industry, pop culture, and generally my thoughts and opinions on what affects musicians from the day to day, right? So that could be, whatever it is, from food, fitness, relationships, the news, world trade, all kinds of weird things, right? Because our lives are kind of complicated when you think about it. But we as a group, like as a collective, us musicians, we're just regular people. We play piano, we play violin, the baritone, we just do regular things, every day, just like everybody else. So if you don't know who I am, I'm DameSmiff, and essentially I am a musician, and I just wanted to milk kind of like this channel in a way that a lot of younger musicians can really gather information for the options they have when they're navigating their careers. So, like for me personally, I was a musician starting out in school, right? So when I think about that in hindsight, that's really, really good, to learn music in school with the supervision of teachers and the help of your parents and things like that. But what I realized throughout my career is that over time, a lot of people have actually not had that opportunity. And the way they've gravitated towards music was actually just, by accident. Like they kind of just, it just landed in their lap. Like somebody just handed them an instrument. Maybe somebody invited them to play at a church, or maybe they just had a passion to kind of follow an inspiration, like maybe another singer or another band, right? So when you think about that, it also goes to show you why there's so few success stories in the music industry. And when you say so few, you have to consider how many people are trying to be successful. So it's easy to kind of think of like what makes you comfortable as a musician, like, oh, I'm making enough money for my family, or maybe if you're not making enough money, maybe you're happy with the consistency of your gigs, or you're just kind of like in it for the process. You just like to enjoy the learning curve and the work it takes to be successful. And so that satisfies you. But when you look at the community as a whole, we're pretty much fractured when it comes to what success looks like. Like, what does that shape look like? Because there's a lot of, let's say, we can call it criticism, but there's a lot of judgment when it comes to how successful musicians handle the latter end of their career. And then on the other hand, there's also a judgment on how many musicians begin their career. So I kind of wanted to explore a bit of what I've found to be successful musicians, and it comes in a few different ways. Now, the examples I'll be using tonight, they'll be musicians I haven't personally met, but their stories are pretty much told through their music, and a lot of it is, public knowledge. Like, you can pretty much just go find this. So this isn't going to be like exposing, secrets or things like that, but this will show a lot of musicians who may be, the 50-year-old guitar player, the 20-year-old drummer, to the, 70-year-old pianist at church. This will show you that there are certain steps and options that you have at any moment in your career that can actually benefit you and the others around you. Okay. And it really just comes from the ideas you have from your music or your artwork if you're not a musician yourself. So, one of the things we'll be exploring will be a song. We'll go through a little bit of the lyrics, and then we'll check out a video. And the video will be a reaction to pretty much how you can invest in yourself, and then what could possibly come from great investments for yourself. Okay. And so I'm going to do a little bit of setting up as far as putting the lyrics on the screen for you, and then we're going to read through and just kind of, explore what they mean to us and how they work. So this is Stack It, Stash It by Payroll and Giovani. Now, this is actually a really, really, really dope song, just sonically, musically. And generally, he's kind of just going through his mindset as what we would call today a hustler, but just as a businessman, just in America. Because I related to a lot of this because it's something that is consistent when I hear a lot of different successful businessmen. So you'll hear things about obviously saving money, but not just saving it, but putting it to work. Like, you'll hear phrases like that. And then you'll hear things about like getting a return on your investment, weird little phrases and things like that. And so it's kind of permeating through the lyrics, of course, told with his own style. But the reason I enjoy a lot of Payroll Giovanni's music is because it is generally educational. Like, you do learn a little bit about like how things work in terms of business and things like that. So I'm gonna scroll up to the top, and then we're just kind of just read through. Honestly, the way he writes is very A to B to C. It's not very short phrases, so you'll get very complete thoughts when you're going through his lyrics. So this is Stack It, Stash It by Payroll Giovanni featuring Jade Jones. And it's produced by Cardo got wangs. So make sure you check this out. I'm on Apple Music with it, but stream it wherever, buy it wherever. Check out the website, check out the socials. But we start off with, I can show you how to get it and how to make a killing in the crib chilling. Peas piled to the ceiling. So all he's talking about here is illegal substances, such. And pretty much, to get a quick little snapshot of Mr. Giovanni's background, he started off hustling street stuff, to keep it PG, and using those funds, which is what we're going to really be focusing on, he was able to invest in other business ventures. Okay. And so the key thing to take away from this is that not necessarily how. We're trying to like kind of separate, the illegal part of this to the mindset needed to be successful. Because the reason I pointed out earlier that there is a lot of people that try to be successful at music, that this is part of it. Like, the musicianship path isn't the one that I took, which is to go to school. It's one that looks like an opportunity for many people. So when it comes to singing, dancing, and entertainment and things like that, for most people, they're going to look at it as an opportunity, right? And when you understand that, you'll begin to kind of respect the mindset that people take when they do become successful. Because again, a lot of people try and they try the nice route. Maybe they go to school like I did and it doesn't work. Maybe they go, the hustler route like Payroll did and it doesn't work. But either way you choose, there still has to be an understanding that there is a shape to the success. And that shape, you kind of have to match it if you want to acquire it. Okay. And so that's all I really wanted to point out when we get into like the whole criminality aspect of hip hop. Like, there's going to be a lot of that, but once you realize that a lot of these musicians just are just walking their lives, then you kind of will get past that very quickly when you're listening to this. So moving on, it says creeping on 1 million, which means he's coming up to saving up to 1 million. I just smile at the feeling. Used to cop 8 balls and chop dimes and take care of neighbors so they don't drop dimes. So basically, he's explaining that he would take care of people in his neighborhood so they wouldn't, spill the beans on what he's getting into, because that is also, just like I pointed out with music, an opportunity for people. Okay. And so moving on, he says, all this traffic, they can't park at their own house, meaning like he's got so many people coming up to his business, and people who live there can't even park there, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because he's got to be like a 80s baby. So that's crazy. And he says, I re-up before the last two O's out. So that right there is kind of like, most people who are probably doing what he's doing in this verse probably understand what he's saying a lot better. But essentially, he's talking about reinvesting and getting his inventory back, if we were to make this sound a little more business savvy, right? And this is one thing that I see kind of like, just it's in all industries. Like, you never want to hit zero when it comes to like fuel, when it comes to inventory, when it comes to product and all this stuff like that, because that would be like McDonald's running out of French fries, KFC running out of chicken. You never want to hit zero. And that's a really, really good mindset to have, because it kind of trains you in consistency, but it also develops a kind of reputation for, the people you do business with. Moving on, it says, I take my pros and cop money. Then I mix it and buy a bigger bag. Bitch, I'm out here trying to get it. Now I can talk politics since I'm clowning like presidential rollies I cop from White Houses. Heavy on the neck, but my shoes a light 1,000. Water on my wrist. Got these motherfuckers throwing towels in. So he's basically flexing on everybody with his jewels, and he's showing off the different kinds of jewels. Now, the key thing though, when you start hearing these jewelry lyrics and these jewelry bars and stuff like that, like I don't have jewelry. I got an Apple Watch. I'll be chilling. But when you start hearing these jewelry bars, the key thing to remember is like how these things are represented, in your life, because he's naming stuff that is pretty much assets. He's naming like watches and jewels and things like that. But for some people, they will look at these same items, right, and wear them because somebody is judging them, right? They'll wear them for different reasons. But I think in a lot of the sense that Payroll is talking about, it's more so understanding the value of the asset and not necessarily just throwing it in your face. And you'll see that as it starts to come in later, when he kind of explains how the jewelry works for him later on. And so we move on and say, We some smooth hustlers. Y'all go out and do the wild shit. This what you do when that work and them pounds in. So he's basically separating himself from the hustlers who were going around, shooting up clubs and robbing and stealing and thieving and stuff like that. Not really doing good business. So that's all he's doing. And then the hook comes in, cop it, flip it, stack it, stash it. It comes in and repeats. And the refrain says, let's make a bet who can stack it up the fastest. That's actually a question your friends probably don't ask you, but that's a pretty tight bar. Um, how you getting money like that? That's what they asking. I cop it, flip it, stack it, stash it, and then we just get kind of like a moniker you can just keep in your head. Now that's simple writing. So the really poignant part of that chorus there is gonna be the delivery. You want to be on beat, you want to keep rhythm, and honestly, if you're doing that live, it'd be cool if you can get like a movement with that. But yeah, that's something simple and it's catchy too, so you don't have to think too hard about it. Um, the really good thing about having lyrics written this way, where it's kind of like I'm telling a story from point A to Z here, is that the hook kind of just writes itself. You don't really have to think. You're just basically reiterating your verse all over again. So it makes it very simple. But if we keep moving on, it says, if I was born a square, like somebody like me, like someone who went to school, my life would be simple. But my idols move squares and pounds and pack pistols. So that's something I had to kind of like wrap my head around because I didn't have idols that move squares, pounds, and pack pistols. But again, when you have to realize that somebody who comes from this lifestyle suddenly sees the same thing that you value and sees the opportunity, and then they strike, and then they get success from it, you got to kind of respect it, because I didn't have this. So pretty much in his eyes, I would be the square, right? I'd be the square who didn't have no idols like this. So it's pretty awesome that you can kind of see the parallel, but we using the same art form. And you can remove me and just compare this to like a Hispanic guitar player to a Japanese tenor saxophone player, like using the same art form, music, but they come from two totally different walks of life to find success. It's kind of crazy. So moving on, he says, born in this shit, not sworn in this shit. I know where it's cheap and where they pay more for this shit. Used to walk through the hood, now we pushing rovers. But selling shit white as dandruff made me look over my shoulder. Packing mo heat since the jewels way frozer. No back seat, just two seats and a motor. All eyes on me like Pac. Making knots off blocks. I change phones like socks. So he's kind of just explaining his lifestyle now that I'm assuming at this point, if he's going in like some kind of chronological order, he's basically explaining he's leveled up a little more, right? And so now he's got better jewelry, cooler cars, probably cooler product and better stuff, right? But that makes you kind of noticeable, which is opposite of what he wanted to do in the first verse, which was to stay low key and just make his money, right? We smooth hustlers. Y'all go out and do the wild shit. Remember that bar? So this is where usually most people, when it comes, well, I'll say musicians, because this lifestyle kind of isn't specific for musicians, but we're talking about one. So this is usually where most musicians begin to make those very poignant decisions in their career. You start seeing producers change. You start seeing DJs change. This is where you start to see them dressing different. They start hanging out with different women, so it's a different conversation when they're in their interviews all of a sudden, right? They're walking and talking a little different, and you start to wonder like what's happening, right? And it's really because one or two things are happening. He's getting more notoriety, so there's some worry about what the other side of your lifestyle is about, or it's preparation. It could truly just be preparation for success. It could be just that, that one life or that one chapter he had is now over and we're just turning a new page, So it could be a brand new leaf being turned. So that's why I said it's a very poignant thing, because for a lot of artists, they'll fall to what's comfortable for them. They'll land on like, oh well, where I'm from, we do this, or this is how we do it in my hood, and it doesn't really open the doors that they expect it does. In fact, it actually closes more in reality. So even like for myself, like if we were to say that I was the square in this song, right? Just going to school, playing my little music, right? Hoping to get put on by somebody who's got a record label or whatever, right? So let's say somebody's doing that, right? There's gonna come a point where they're gonna get close to it. They're gonna get right up to the door of, let's say, super CEO, whatchamacallit, and offices, and you're gonna get to have that conversation, right? But the thing is when that conversation starts and you introduce your name and you shake their hand, how is it gonna go? What are you gonna say? How are you gonna leverage your skills, your talent, and how are you gonna make a benefit for them? And then how are you gonna, overall make this a great, fruitful relationship? So when you think of it that way, then you're like, all right, then can I really approach this like I would normally? Or can I approach this with what makes me comfortable at times? And so this is where I'm talking about that poignant decision, meaning like now you got to focus on more than just the music or more than just the hustle. It's now the glue that makes you who you are, that makes you the full-fledged weapon of a hustler. So moving on, it says make knots off blocks. I change phones like socks, which is kind of crazy because I hate changing my phone number, but it is what it is. I was at the bottom plotting on the top, rocks dropping for a watch. So he was at the bottom, meaning like broke or not as rich as he'd like, plotting on the top, meaning plotting on having more money, and then his rocks dropping for a watch, meaning those are the product he was selling in order to purchase a watch. He was also continuing on. He was also watching for the SWAT team and building up his stock. Had to get it up, and he bought a safe. Had to fill it up, vacuum seal it up, then transport it in some kind of truck or a Malibu. We bout money all on my avenue. Will make little noise and pray them people never have a clue. So that's actually a lot packed in there. And it's interesting because when you read it, it sounds a lot different than when you hear the song, only because there's a very sharp contrast to the first part of this verse to the second, right? So on the first part, he's saying, used to walk through the hood, now we pushing rovers, selling shit. White dandruff made me look over my shoulder, packing more heat since the jewels stay frozen. So clearly, like, life is getting, it's getting hot, it's getting fast, right? But then the poignant decision happened, right? Then he starts to say, all right, all right, all right. So now I'm watching for the SWAT, which is the people that are going to stop the hustle. That's not good. And then he's building up his stock. So he's got money, but instead of buying cars, right, and tricking it off on women, he decided to buy a safe, fill it up with, I guess, things he needed. We'll say resources, right? Vacuum seal his things up because, we don't want the SWAT finding out. These are, again, just better decision making is overall. This is what we're here to respect, is how he's getting smarter, educating himself, making better decisions, right? And it's not necessarily in the sense of like, I'm trying to be evil. It's like, again, when someone says that they're raised a certain way, his idols move squares and pounds and pack pistols, it's like he has honestly no other option, because you'll hear in other songs, especially with artists like this, they'll look at a job that makes like, $1,000 a week as like terrible. They'll be like, that's horrible money, right? So in his mindset, he's literally just protecting himself. That's all he's doing in real time, like whatever age he's in, whatever day that was when he was thinking this way. In his mind, he's just protecting himself. And he's protecting himself basically alongside what looks like a pirate's treasure in a sense. Like he's just got, everything he's got in this safe and other investments. So he's just putting it, putting all of his effort and mindset into protecting it. So then we'll eventually see how we turn this into a whole new thing, right? So it gets crazy because now you're buying certain cars and trucks to figure out how to maneuver around and all this stuff. It's crazy. So the chorus continues on and repeats, which again has to be dope, has to be catchy in order for a song to be successful, right? And so then we get into the last, I would say this is the third verse, and then we have pretty much the outro. But the third verse, it says, I can show you how to get it. Oh, this is the bridge. I'll show you how to make a killing, even in the crib chilling. That's Jade singing this part. I remember this. This is actually really catchy too. So it actually just grooves on, and then it ends out. If you ain't getting money, take your broke ass home. Take your broke ass home. So yeah, it actually ends right there because he has other songs where it breaks down how he flips what he used to do into music and things like that. And it's a really, really great insight. But I think the coolest part about it is, again, the mindset, just figuring out, all right, this is what works, this is how things are going to have to work, and we're going to make it do what it do. So when you think of it that way, it's a lot more respectable, and I think people will kind of be able to understand, I would say more hip-hop artists especially that way. But the key thing to remember, it's all about the fruits. If he was Dusty, none of these lyrics would matter, right? So the key thing here is that you're gonna have to figure out what that shape of success looks like, and then really understand what it looks like for an artist in real time. And that's how you'll be able to tell, all right, this person is dropping gems. Because again, anybody could buy a belt, anybody could wear sunglasses, drive a car, bang a chick. We can do all of that stuff. But if you are the type of person who, can't keep it, can't value it, or make it respectable, then it's like, all right, so for a lot of people, it's just a choice at that point. But we're not really just giving you a choice. We're trying to actually give you the shape of what success looks like. And that's the key thing. So I think the next thing we'll get into right here, this is Tech Nine's huge compound that he's building or has built. And this is called, I think, well, it's a combination of things like Strange Land, Strange World, probably Strange Universe by now, but it's pretty intense. I caught like a few minutes of this, but the key things we're going to take away from this, right? Just like Giovani, right? Tech Nine comes from a certain lifestyle, but there was a certain mindset shift. And of course, with the help of a great, team of people and things like that, there's a certain mindset shift to where it's like, all right, this is bigger than like what we're doing here. This is bigger than, putting rhymes in a notebook, and it gets to kind of like almost a supernatural thing, but it less of supernatural, but more of just like dedication. That's what I would put it towards. But let's check it out.
And you're talking about expanding?
Yes. You see our sign right here?
You got the Rolls Royce here.
Strange Works, Strange Box,
This man built his own college campus.
Strange World.
This is so extraordinary.
I've never seen Strange Land.
This is just like shocking. Bro, this is next level.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Shout out
On this
Headbanger
edition of Headbanger Homes, we are with hip-hop legend Tech Nine at the Strange Music Compound. This is one of the craziest properties I've ever seen in my life. Tell the fans, as we get into this, what they can expect on this amazing tour.
So before he starts, because he's gonna basically blow our minds, but before he starts, the first thing I notice, obviously this looks expensive because it's custom, the snake and bat symbol, right? It has the tongue on there. That's crazy. But there's security, there's reflective glass, there's keyed entry. The landscaping is super clean. Like, this is one thing I started to notice, right? I have no real estate and I'm learning about like real estate, but one thing I'm noticing is like people who take care of their property, they are a different level of human. Like, most of us would not sweep our front doors. We don't wipe our doors down. Like, there's people who take care of their property. That's why when we were younger, we used to watch the people like shooing away skateboarders and things like that. It didn't make sense until you realize like, no, it wasn't It's not the skateboarder. It's the disrespect. That's what it's about. Like, yeah, that's all it is. So I think once you start to see things in a different way, things start to make sense. Like, I think that's the click for Tech Nine. I don't know when it happened for him or how it happened, but that's probably the best part of it.
You can expect mind-blowing images when you enter Strange Music headquarters right here, Lee Summit, Missouri. Tech Nine. This be the one of them called Tech Nine.
Amazing footage.
Welcoming you to Strange Music headquarters right here, right now. Offices, merchandise, everything, man. You know what I'm saying? It all happens, all the magic happens here, then it goes abroad. Let's go.
Okay, so this is insane. Okay, obviously the awards, we're gonna try to look past the already intense amount of awards, but
Merchandise,
again, doors,
everything, man. You know what I'm saying? It all happens, all the
very
magic happens.
clean room. We got sconces. What is that? Like business cards? Like this is expensive, man. All right, this ain't no like Uncle's Garage studio right here. This is next level. Okay, now again, we can name other studios and things like that. We can probably be like, oh, but I got an uncle with like a desk, right? We can do all of that, right? That's tight. This is 100% independent.
Happens here, then it goes abroad. Let's go. As you can see, all the wonderful plaques. You know what I mean? MI Psycho is gold. You know what I mean? Worldwide Choppers is gold. Worldwide Choppers is platinum as well. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Got a gold album. Absolute Power, man. You know what I'm saying? Ever Ready. Just all this wonderful work. Dysfunctional. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it.
And this Jelly Roll record here as well.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Jelly
God.
How far
Roll.
do y'all go back?
Man, we go back. Man, this is more than a decade. You know what I mean? But Jelly Roll with us, that was a single when he was on our distribution. It goes up. You know what I mean? And that's one of the first ones, man. And it went up. I said.
So if you pay attention,
Okay.
he said Jelly Roll was on our distribution. Well, not mine, but you know, their own distribution. So it's again mindset, like just understanding like, all right, we're gonna help this artist do what they need to do, and we're gonna push them out. We're gonna make sure they're in the hands of the store that they need to be in and things like that. That's very, very honestly noble, but difficult to do, like to pull it off and then compete.
You know, we have one as
With other
well around here somewhere
distributors.
called Creature. There it is right there.
One of my favorites. Huge fan of that track.
Yeah, Creature's platinum now, man.
Not surprised. It's a monster hit.
Yeah, y'all remember Ritz, right? Yeah.
Ritz.
And this is all built independently.
All in.
Security system, gotta have security. Okay, so this is why we had to break down the Payroll Giovani verse first, because this is kind of like, wow, there's even more here, but this is kind of like the key thing you got to understand. Like, you have to protect the investment. This security system, it serves a purpose. Like, it's not just a camera to find out somebody's walking around. Like, this probably helps them, you know, keep things organized, probably keep schedules, and, you know, a whole bunch of other things like that. That's, again, expensive, and things that, again, you have to think about and be cautious or conscious of when you're building your artwork and you're building your ideas and things like that. Like, it goes bigger than that. Now, again, this goes back to the poignant decision I keep bringing up. You could easily just get comfortable and just go back and just sit down and record and just play your music in your house. But if you really want to call what we call success, you got to really know what it's shaped like and really define it. And I think when you do, you protect it. And the other thing I noticed is that they have bathrooms here. That's fucking awesome. I don't know why. I just think that's ill. They got bathrooms in there, and then large windows and stairwells and stuff. And then there's logos. No, there's not logos. Okay, I thought there were logos on the stairs. That's crazy.
My partner Travis O'Glenn, man, he's a visionary, man. You know, and just here we are.
Ordinary.
Here we are.
Son,
When we get over to Strange.
Macy's don't look like this. Macy's don't look like this.
Yeah.
Whoa. The last time you seen something like this was like the opening year of Old Navy. That's
Hey,
crazy.
man, you know? And
Look at that. Okay, so the reason this is shocking, because I've worked in a few different retail places, right? And when it comes to like stocking shelves and things like that, organization is pretty much the name of the game, right? That's all you're doing. You're just organizing, making sure stuff is in the right places, and there's plans and organizers, there's teams and departments that tell you where stuff goes and how things look and things like that. And to have this much organization just right here ready to go like that is freaking awesome. It's like a kitchen. It's like a laboratory. This is awesome.
Just here we are, ordinary. Here we are. When we get over to Strange World, you're gonna see where it's made. You know what I'm saying? This is where it goes out to the people who order our online store. How many?
So if you pay attention to what he said right there, when we go to Strange World, this is where it gets to the people. So this is where I guess where they package everything up, like Payroll was saying. This is where they vacuum seal it up, and then they put it on the truck, and then they move it on out. And then of course this is dope right here. They got a cool little soda machine down there. Now I do want to know, put in the comments, what would you put in your soda machine? If you had in there, you could put whatever you want. Now for me, I'm definitely gonna have some kind of iced coffee in there for sure.
I can say they got a soda machine. We make it all over at Strange World. You're gonna see that soon. You know what I mean? Strange Land is where I record all my music. You know what I mean? Strange Works. So many buildings, man.
That's cool.
I'm sure when you came in, you saw.
Wow, look at all these boxes. This rivals Amazon. I was gonna say Amazon don't do this, but they probably do this. If you're not in the hood, if you're not one of them hood warehouses, you probably pretty organized in Amazon. But this is kind of crazy, bro. Like you think rapping is writing on a piece of paper over beats that Cardo made.
Oh, the car wash over here. You got your own car wash, bro. That's incredible. These are all albums, man, over the years in chronological order.
Oh,
you know what I mean? If you look at the dates.
Yeah, we putting out more albums.
That first one right there is what started it all. Angelic. Tech 9? Right
like
there,
Angelic.
the very first one. 2001, man.
And was it in the early 2000s that you did something with Chino from Deftones?
It wasn't in the early 2000s, it was the mid 2000s.
Wow.
If I could, I did. If I could, I did. If I could with Chino Marino.
You've just collabed with so many iconic artists and
Yes, sir. Since the beginning, man. You know, this strange music.
Wow, this is a second floor of this. Now, again, this is a snapshot. We just taken this. This is just a little bit of probably like a percentage of his day as far as like managing this compound. But you pay attention, security system. Always protect the investment. Always protect the investment. Now, another thing too, I learned about when you're making shirts and stuff like this, because if you follow tech online, they're always got new merch coming out. Like it's ridiculous. Like, these just pump out merch. And if you pay attention, they have a big ventilation system up here. I was learning that when you're making shirts like that, you do need a lot of ventilation and things like that. So that's another cost you got to think about if you just want to start making merch on a high quality level like they do. Even if it's low quantity, like if you just want to make, you know, high quality, maybe like 100 batches, 200, 300 batches, you got to think about these things.
It comes from me being a gigantic Doors fan.
sick.
Jim Morrison, Robbie Krieger, Ray Manzarek, John Densmore. I was able to work with the remaining members before Ray died, man. You know what I mean? We did Strange 2013. Oh my goodness. And that's why we're Strange Music. Travis had to build up. We had to build up here because we were running out of space down there.
Honestly, do you ever run out of outfit ideas when your closet looks like this? I would just walk around every day and just snag a color off the shelf. Like, yeah, let's see how we can make this fly.
You know what I mean? This is all brand new.
And how did you and Travis meet?
Me and Travis met these people who do clothing, Paradise Clothing, and they had a fashion show, and I performed one of my songs, Planet Rock, at their fashion show. And the day after that, I was like in '98.
Ooh, that's actually okay. See, I'm trying to pull away from the story so we can focus on the other thing. That story was interesting, but if you look in the background,
Their fashion show.
yes, pay attention. This is where they probably organize the clothes, fold the table, fold the clothes, and things like that. This looks like a little monster refrigerator. That's probably a sponsorship, so it could be free, but that's pretty cool.
The day after.
And then this cart right here costs money. No, I'm going to point it out. This costs money. This is independent, so don't break the cart. These wheels cost money. If these break, they got to call a guy to come bring this in. This fan right here costs money, all that stuff. But this is pretty cool. This artwork up here. So this table is probably where because I worked in Macy's and like a few retail places. This is probably where they process orders. Or if not process orders, probably like just, you know, bundle shipment for these boxes back here. I'm not sure how their, you know, process works specifically. But just noting that this table is here means that there's a thought process in how this warehouse is run. So the reason I have to point that out is because I have seen videos where like people have poorly run warehouses where it just is just a large room with boxes in it, and they don't necessarily have A, organization, and B, they don't necessarily have any idea of what's going in and out. Like when I keep pointing out these security cameras, like they'll have like two cameras with like 30 blind spots, like things like that. So it's very interesting when you pay attention to stuff like this. And also the next thing, this is a huge, greatly, brightly lit building. Like there's almost no darkness in here. So that's another thing. On top of that, no pests. I'm pretty sure there's no pests at all. I don't see no like papers strewn about where roaches can just hide around, and mice and rodents. So again, it takes a certain type of person to keep their property clean that way, you know? So we all gotta just get to what we think is successful.
That was like in '98. The day after that, one of my homeboys, George Forte, said, man, our boss want to meet you. I said, boss? He's like, yeah, the guy who funds our Paradise Clothing.
That's a snake and bat trash can. They didn't even go to Walmart and just get a trash can. They got their own trash cans, bro. They have a cabinet back here. That's a custom cabinet. Bro, you're insane.
His name is Travis. I was like, okay. Took me over to his house. We had a meeting. Boom.
That's crazy.
We're
Nice.
partners in this strange music, and he also has the managerial position as well.
Wow.
More offices over here, you know what I mean? We're all in this piece.
Wow. So I know it feels like I'm nitpicking. I know it feels like I'm doing a lot, but when you talk to like successful people and you really break down what it takes to do what they're doing, like he's walking through this video and he's explaining it to the host, and shout out to the host, but they don't have time to break down like the stuff that
Travis, I
I'm
was
seeing
like, okay.
in real
Took me
time,
over to his
because
house. We had a
he's
meeting.
got work to
Boom.
do, but they don't have time to really like look at like not this wall
And he
here,
also
but like
has
the thought behind like what kind of tile do we use on the floor and
managerial
stuff like that. Like
position
nobody
as
really
well.
thinks
Wow.
about that. And
more
stuff like
offices
that.
over here, you know what I mean? We're all in this piece.
The design of these offices and things like that. Like these are personalized desks, and it looks like they have snake and bat customized cubicles. Like this is ridiculous, bro. Like most of y'all would have thought about rolling trays.
And tell me about this new record that you got coming out as well.
That's something huge to talk about. It's called 5816 Forest, man. It's where I lived from age 12 to 17, man.
Wow.
I call it my audio series with 17 episodes about my life on 5816 Forest. I'm age 12 to 17 when I ran away from home to become Tech 9, you know?
That's crazy. So if you think about, again, comparing it to Payroll, Giovani, 12 to 16, he just ran away from home. Like when I was 12 to 16, I was a square. I was in school, Mo. I stayed in school. So a lot of my connection to music was like, you know, learning the art form. Whereas they were in like a different world where like music was probably like the B story to their A story type of thing, you know, where for me, it was just the A story. So it's very interesting. So they had like very intense drivers in their life. Like obviously leaving home at 12 had to be intense, but on the other hand, he probably found it difficult to focus on music. Like there were probably challenges to that.
So much ground to cover up here, man.
This whole room's nuts, all right? This looks better than the DMV. It's clean. It don't look like the carpet's all dusty and stuff like that. Now you can be like, oh, the building's new, but look, listen, you got to be a certain type of person to keep your stuff clean.
This is where we have all the powwows, man.
Is there a wall without plaques?
This is where I do a lot of my Zoom meetings. Everything, man.
I can't
So they do their meetings in here, which kind of feels like now when he says it, like a war room, where they come in here, you know, just playing the big plan for the year and stuff like that. But again, check it out. So the thing here to think about is, all right, so you're in the studio, right? And you need to plan like when the album's going to drop, the marketing, the merch, and all that stuff like that. That's what this room is. How long do you think that's going to take? It's going to take a couple hours, right? Or if not a couple days, then hours at a time, a couple of days, right? So they have in here a whole kitchen, a mini kitchen at least. Like you can at least cook in a microwave. That looks like a refrigerator here, sink, all that stuff, right? I'm sure they're not in here just chilling and eating, but It's just to show you that like there is a thought and like, all right, this room has the purpose of thinking. And so just like a studio may have a bed in it, or your house may have a bed in it, or
So
a
much
kitchen in it,
ground to cover up here, man.
there has to be a thought about like, your health and things like that, just to understand like, all right, we need, good food, good energy, so that way we can think properly. Because if you were just in here with just, again, rolling trays and Hennessy, y'all would be saying stupid stuff in the meeting, just saying anything. I do want to point out before we move on, fire extinguisher. Yep, fire extinguisher. So they have state inspections.
This is where we have all the power.
This large TV here, I'm sure, I don't really need to tell you guys, but I'm sure they probably connect like all the media they need to check out, new videos, maybe other artists they need to compete with and things like that. It's probably pretty cool.
Pals, man. This is where I do a lot of my Zoom meetings. Everything, man.
I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for you with all the success that you've had. These labels must have been trying so hard to get you to sign.
Well, I had major deals before I met Travis. You know what I mean? In '93, I got signed with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at Perspective A&M in LA.
I don't know what these awards mean, but it's crazy. Like when you walk around some offices, right? There's like maybe 1 or 2 walls with awards, but the rest of the imagery is like just motivational quotes. It's kind of ridiculous how we can't see a blank wall in this show. Like it's literally just award after award after award. I'm starting to question, like, does he look for decorations?
La Brea, that didn't go well. Ooh, and '97, I signed to Quincy Jones, Question Warner.
Wow.
That didn't go well. And after that, I met Travis and we signed with Interscope and J. Core. That didn't go well. And we said, what? Nope, no more. We're going 100%.
So he's tried the major route. So it's not like, and I can probably guess what happened, but it's not like he, has some kind of disdain for the major record. Like, well, he probably does, but it's not like a pure like I don't want to do it. He tried it. He gave it a go, and a few times, right? And it just didn't work out. But my guess is that what we see in front of us, as far as this building, these offices, and honestly all these awards, that's a huge investment for a record label. Like, to get this much in return, you would have to dump a lot of money in there, and I don't know how much Tech and them put in as far as like putting money into this, but what they got back from it is crazy. And so I'm pretty sure there was no label that could just imagine giving this back as a return. Like you can't even figure, you can't wrap your mind around speaking the sentence that would describe what we're looking at right now. And I think that's the issue, which kind of proves his point and a lot of other artists' point, is that when you put your mind to something, you can really get it done.
Nope, no more. We're going 100% independent. And here we are, man, 25 years later.
25
This
years.
is the end of the offices.
Amazing.
More offices.
I think are we gonna dash over to Strange World?
Would love to. All right, we get in the vehicle.
Yeah, I was right.
I
I was freaking right. So look, y'all thought I was being a nitpicker talking about the tile on the floor. That's a snake in the bat on the stairs, bro. They're not playing no games with you.
All right, we get in the vehicle.
They thought of everything. Like, I'm pointing it out
so he has
for
his
a
own
reason.
car wash out here.
It's on the doors.
I've never seen anything like this.
People come from all over the world, wherever town they drive from, just to come see the wash.
The
And they
car
can come
wash.
get their
Now, I
car
wonder if
washed
this is just
at
like
the Strange Music
a
car
money
wash
thing,
called the
or if
Wash,
you always
man. Don't
dreamed
think
of
they don't
having a
want to
car
come right
wash.
across the street and catch me coming in and out. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
I think a
But
lot of us
they
dream
come
of
from
having a
far
car
and
wash.
wide to come visit the Wash, and it works perfectly. Another one of my partner Travis's wonderful ideas. He says, hey, I think we're gonna put a car wash over here, turn this into a car wash. I always say, let's go.
Let's do it. I love it. So you just got this piece of property here, and you're talking about expanding?
Yes, yes. You see our sign right here?
Wow.
Yeah.
Possibly the.
So, again, future development coming. So, I've been learning tiny little tidbits about real estate, and you gotta get through so many inspections. You gotta figure out so many pieces. This is just a lot of land that we're looking at right now. Like from the foundation to what kind of dirt they're using to the lights, like all that stuff we saw in the previous building. They have to imagine it first before they put it here on the ground. But the thing is like we're still talking about with you lyrics on paper. You know, when we go back to Payroll, Giovani, we were just talking about lyrics on paper. This is the reality for an artist, right? This is the possibilities. Now, another thing we can point out too, we're driving down the street. This is a big ass campus. Like we hopped in the car and we're going down the street just seeing a whole bunch of other buildings.
You're talking about expanding?
Yes, yes. You see our sign right here?
Wow.
This is ridiculous.
Possibly
Which
the new
means
HQ.
also you do have to share with your fellow neighbors. Like these are probably other businesses and things like that, furniture stores, large retail stores, textile companies and stuff. You'd be right next door to the hustle and bustle for real as an artist, as a businessman.
Yes, possibly the new HQ.
Insane.
Yes, sir. Strange Works, Strange Box,
This man built his own college
Wow.
campus.
Strange World, right here.
This
I
is
wonder
so
how
extraordinary.
customized each
I've
one
never
is.
seen.
Strange Land.
Yeah, I wonder how
This is-
how customized each one is, because there could be a whole different world in each one depending on how crazy he could get. Bro, we're looking at a giant sign of the snake and bat outside the front. Bro, this is crazy. Great job, bro. You're winning right now.
This is just like shocking.
This is awesome.
This is next level.
Yeah. Now you're entering Strangeland Studios and Soundstage. This is where I record all my music. This is where I recorded my verse for Ronnie Radke for the song Ronald. This is where I record all my music. Of course, I can record on the road as well when I'm on tour, but this is home right here.
Wow.
Welcome to Strangeland Studios.
What do we notice, kids? What do we notice?
On
We
tour,
notice
but
it every
this is home
time
right here.
because we have to always protect the investment. Always keep your security systems up to date. Keep the thieves out because they suck. They're losers, right? But this is awesome, bro.
Welcome to
I love
Strangeland
this.
Studios. and
Another thing
Soundstage.
too, when he was walking up,
This
I
is where I
noticed
record all my music. All my music. This is where I recorded my verse for Ronnie
Yeah,
Radke
man.
for the song.
Macy's don't even look like this. Look at that landscaping, boy. Look at that landscaping, boy. Listen, there's just again another thought for you guys to think about is that cleanliness, keeping things in order. This is outside of music, bro. This is all outside of music.
Ronald, this is where I record all my music. Of course, I can record on the road as well when I'm on tour, but this is home right here.
This is crazy.
Welcome to Strangeland Studios and Soundstage. Welcome, the home of the choppers.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Insane. Got a perfectly pristine motorcycle hanging above your head. Now, one thing you do got to remember too, when you keep stuff like this, you got to clean it. You got to keep it nice and pristine to keep it nice and pristine. So they definitely are putting in work to keep this place very, very nice and very awesome. I do want to learn more about like the decision, because I'm noticing a trend here. I don't know if this is Tech's decision or if it's more of like a systematic decision. There's a lot of wood. There's a lot of wood in the offices. It's pretty cool.
Midwest Chopper right here. This is the home of the choppers. You know, if you don't know what a chopper is, just follow me all around the planet, around the chemical psychology. You know what I'm saying? It's fast rapping. It's called chopping.
So sick.
Home of the choppers right here. Yeah, man. Offices down here. You know, our video crew works out of here as well.
I think this wall,
We'll see them down the way.
this wall has photos, but
This is amazing.
this is like
Yep.
the first decorative wall we've seen
This is
for
my
a
office
while.
with the T.
It's the first decorative wall. Like most of the other walls were just awards. Like we just left a wall of awards to get this one wall of artwork. But this is Tech's office with the giant T. Now, personally, I thought I was gonna see a snake and a bat, but this is pretty, this is pretty apt. This is a giant T. Why not? Protect the investment. What do you notice, kids?
This is my office.
So, I hate to point this out, but it is what it is because we're learning. We're gleaning from the video. Okay, so here's what I've learned. I've watched a lot of gangster movies, right? The office right here is right next to the exit. Scoop, quick little dip. Now, you can talk about like, oh, escaping and stuff like that, but it's really just for convenience. Like when you just want to get out and go get your DoorDash or, go for a walk or something like that. You just walk right out. No stress. You don't got to walk past the front desk and say hi and buy it out in public and stuff like that. It's very, very, very smart. It's kind of like why your boss has his own bathroom, Another thing we notice on the floor, Snake and the Batman. Now, this could be a number of things. Some security systems use like stuff on the floor to kind of be markers, but this could just be a design thing. We got little air fresheners because you know you want to set the mood and things like that. You don't think about these things. You're still thinking of rolling trays and Henny, you fucking degenerate. And then in the corner here, we of course got the security system here to make sure we always got a door on the most important door in the building, right? So this just little corner like this, most people don't think like this for tiny little corners, right? When you're just walking around the mall and stuff like that, like you don't think asset protection is tracking your last 10 locations, but you know, they should be if they want to protect us, you know.
In the way.
This is amazing.
Yep. So my office with the T.
We have the key card entry, keyless key card entry.
Boom.
Boom. And we have a very, very, very comfortable office. Now, more wood on the wall, which I think honestly is a choice. It's starting to feel like this is kind of like what makes him feel comfortable. It feels like the older 80s lawyer, like big money, like wealthy money feel, you know?
Whoa. Yep. This is me office. This is me
This is
office.
intense.
Incredible.
Yeah, man. Sometimes I write in here because when I write upstairs, all the artists come in and bother me, so I close myself in here and write, close my door, have my safe. Got some really good stuff in my safe. Ooh, some really secret stuff.
That's the safe. Well, not this little box, but it's like below the desk here.
And when
There it is, right down there. The safe that Payroll Giovani mentioned, the one he had to buy when he finally got to a certain level. He said there's some pretty cool stuff in there. If I were to guess, I'm pretty sure there's some pretty cool stuff in there myself. But the thing is that he has one, and that's key. And then we can, you know, look at all the other cool stuff, but that's not important. The important thing is like, look, listen, these blinds were chosen. This is a certain style of chair that you have to go to a certain place to find. Like, listen, this is beyond fucking music, man.
you like to know the code.
You know, it's like, I can imagine.
Yeah, man. Come on now. They do all our editing for our videos here, you know what I mean? Video crews down here.
The front lobby here, very clean, very organized. I love it. Like, we got the little trash can here. It's fresh. This is pretty
do all
dope.
our
I love
editing
this.
for our
Now, I
videos
do
here,
notice
you know what I
another trend
mean?
here. They always got candy on the front desks. I guess tech likes to just walk around and grab something or something. I don't know. But they always got little
Video crews
buckets of
down here.
candy.
This is Rock Feed. What is that? The guys that make my video pop. Yep. You know what I mean?
Look at this. Good to meet you, bro. Much love,
The
guys.
squad.
We're gonna go upstairs now
Great.
to where the magic happens.
And talk about some of the artists that, you know, you've had in here in this studio that have worked in this building.
Oh man, SZA is recorded here. Wale is recorded in here. Lady Gaga, she did her rehearsal here on our soundstage. I'll show you that after this.
Lady Gaga is underrated. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. I used to hate Lady Gaga's music when she first came out. That rah, ah, ah, I used to hate that shit. But when she broke down and did that jazz session, oh nah, she became Public Enemy #1 for me. I was like, we gotta get her on like every studio microphone ever. She is underrated. We appreciate Lady Gaga.
You know what I mean? E40, so many people, man. You know.
Whoa, I don't even know what this is.
You know what I mean? E40.
It's a snake and the bat symbol right here, very customized. And then if you pay attention here, more wood around the design, but this is like a pristine door. Again, when you think about these things, when you build buildings, right? When you're doing things from, remember that sign outside that was just on a plot of land? You got to pick all these things like a Sims building. Like you got to do all that.
So many people, man. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's crazy.
This is Studio A.
Okay, this is
Studio A
Studio
now.
A. And just like the war room office we saw, we have a little kitchen here. We got probably a thermostat, phone, the intercom system, clock for time, and probably a bunch of seasonings and packets of noodles and bread and stuff.
My engineer, Ben, we call him Bengineer. He does all my stuff.
And I'm seeing here, this is like soundproofed out to the max.
Yeah, it is. Sorry. Sorry, Ben. Control room.
Unreal.
Yes, sir. state of the art. So most studios that are like state of the art, they kind of function generally the same, but it's usually just about whether the equipment and software is updated and things like that. But that's down to my homie Benjamin down here. As long as he's uh satisfied, you can pretty much do whatever you want in a studio.
SSL board, duality.
How long's this been in here?
How long has it been here, Ben?
10 years.
10 years now. Yeah.
Insane.
We do all the work and just keep moving. We forget the years. Like, where we been? We just keep going straight.
Love it.
Soundproof rooms.
This is crazy.
Yes, sir.
So like stuff like this is where you'll start to see artists kind of like normally thrive, like building studios and things like that. Because we usually work with architects and engineers to do these kinds of things. So this is right up musicians' alleys for real.
This is where I do all my stuff. We have a clip right here because I still write on paper. So I put my paper up here so I can read because I'm writing on the spot. A lot of people use their phone. I can't do that, man.
I'm not gonna lie, he might have a point there, and I don't know if it's just human nature, but rapping with the phone is trash, bro. I don't know what it is. I've been doing it for some years now, and I might go back to paper just based off of what he said, because I can read my handwriting, but B, I think it just you kind of don't have to turn a page sometimes when you've written it. Like it's weird. Like you can kind of just flow. It's different. I don't know. Like using a phone feels like using a third tool. Like if your hand is one tool, a screwdriver is the second tool, and then you attach like a fucking hook at the end of your screwdriver. That's what the phone feels like.
Old school. I need my paper. I write my paper. Ben created this doohickey right here so I can clip my paper.
Wow, and Ben created that. I was about to see if you can just order that, but yeah, if you get an ingenuity, or a friend with some ingenuity, you can probably do anything.
On like this. So when I come in here, I'm reading my. Okay, take me back. Hold on. What's it?
And
Yeah.
what's your like hours
Freeze your
like?
hands
Are
up.
you a night owl? Are you?
No. I get here at 10 a.m. and I usually leave around 4.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a job.
You're so good.
So that's actually pretty key. He said, "Are you like a night owl?" And he made it almost kind of like no, don't do that type of tone. And I think he probably started to realize like it's healthier to look at it like a job. And I realized that too. But the key thing is that he said he gets in about 10, which is honestly pretty late in the morning, considering I get up at like 4. But yeah, 10 a.m. start rapping. That's probably when the mind is like fresh, full of ideas and things like that. And you just grind till about 4 o'clock. And 4 is perfect because that's a sweet spot where like you still got your day. You can still do other things, maybe do a couple meetings and appointments and things like that. That's actually pretty dope. And like I said, you treat it like a job because now you can look at it to where you're getting up on a Monday and you don't feel like doing it, but you're about to get up and go rap for a Grammy. Like you wouldn't do that. You'd rather go push carts at Walmart, really. And so now you can do that for real. And he made it, again, like he said, made it a job. But I think the key thing here is that he probably did this because of health reasons. Naturally, you want to sleep during the night and then rise up and then do what you need to do. So he probably exercises, walks, maybe does some family stuff, come around 9 o'clock, start heading to the studio, and then get to work, like a regular person.
Disciplined.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? Sometimes I write at home, sometimes I write here in studio, you know what I mean? And come right in here and drop it. Usually I'm in the booth. Like if I have a verse for somebody, I'm usually
That stool down there, that don't look like no music and arts guitar center type stool. I'm gonna let you know that joint look expensive.
in there for 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
And the artists are gonna be watching and taking notes. I mean, this is about as pro as it can possibly get.
Yeah, man. Now I'm gonna take you over to Studio B.
They got a bathroom in here that looks pristine too. I'm a stickler for a clean bathroom in terms of like a public restroom, so that's pretty dope.
Our engineer, Matt, runs Studio B. That chopper kills me.
Security systems always protect the assets, and again, customize. Yeah, this is dope. Like that, the lines here line up. It's not just a straight drop down. My mind's blown about this customization of this building, bro. Great freaking job on this whole thing. But Another thing I wanted to point out was that they have an engineer for each studio. That's pretty cool. I didn't think of that. I thought of like, you just kind of have people go in and out. But yeah, give the whole studio to the guy and let him run it.
Still, another idea of my partner Travis.
Wow, this looks beautiful too. I like the carpet and the flowers just set up. It actually has like a nice little like flow to the building, how like it just opens up like that.
Choppers like you and yeah, I love it. Studio B. Oh, Matt's not even here today. Studio B.
One thing I noticed too, this is actually pretty cool. That little red box right there that tells you that they're recording or live or doing something, right? So that way you don't knock on the door and ruin the thing. So if you've never been in a studio that had that before, you should tell them they should get one of those.
Oh, Matt's not even here today. Yep. We had this studio up and ready before A was done, you know what I mean?
So yeah, yep, I've seen this. This is the Raven. I remember when this dropped. This was the first fully touchscreen audio mixer, and it was pretty cool watching people do it. The only thing I was worried about was like latency and like trying to get like minute movements. But I guess, with software changes shit, we can play Call of Duty and Apex. I'm pretty sure it's pretty accurate by now.
When we first moved in this building, I was in here recording onto the Raven. Then we stepped it up to the SSL Duality. Now, this is Strangeland Studios, and I'm gonna show you the sound stage. Here we go. This way I don't wanna take you down the steps. Where I do all my rehearsals, where Lady Gaga rehearsed for her show here in Kansas City, where we shoot a lot of videos.
So doing your rehearsals and doing your videos is key. I'm sure this space he's about to show us, it's an actual sound stage, probably a black box. Probably pretty huge, but a lot of this stuff I've seen, like I've been on BET productions, I've been on marching band productions, and usually you need a rehearsal space, like a dedicated rehearsal space.
So you're preparing for that upcoming God is a Weapon tour?
Yes, I am.
Amazing. I cannot wait to see your set there.
Yeah, man, we're putting the set together right now. That's what Ben was doing in there. He's waiting on me to tell him all the timing.
I don't even know what this is, but
right
there's
now,
a giant safe in this hallway.
He's waiting on me to tell.
It's just sitting there, just ready. I don't know what's in there, but
him all the timing.
that's some
But it's
rich
okay.
shit.
He said,
That looks like
he's waiting on me
the
to tell him
security
all the
system
timing.
right here. Yeah, this looks like the security office. So this is the security off, maybe check-in system or check-in area for the soundstage. Because I
But
don't
it's
know what could
okay.
be in that safe.
He
Maybe
said, I'm gonna
security
find all the
stuff.
songs and have them ready.
Oh, okay, no, this is a security station. This is a whole warehouse. But again, bro, they got sprinters with the snake and
To
bat,
tell 'em all
with
the timing.
bat on the side.
But it's okay.
It's crazy.
He said, I'm gonna find all the songs.
Oh, look at the white with the red. That's pretty cool, dude. And then I'm assuming this is all just equipment because they said this is just where the music and sound studio. So this is probably just all stage equipment. That's crazy. Like a mixer alone would be like $1,000. They got like 6 printers in here. They probably got all their registration and insurance.
And have them ready for you. More warehouse
Golf
space.
carts.
My partner Travis is from his.
Yeah, this is where the props are and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. So the cool thing about them being independent is that because of this investment, they can literally do a show anywhere if they can get the right, get the state to sign off on it.
A Halloween party he had on his block. If those are that big, imagine how big his house is.
Right.
This is Strangeland soundstage right here.
Yep, this is exactly what I thought. It's a giant black box where they can just go ham and rehearse.
Yep. Unbelievable. Look at this. This is where my band sets up and we rehearse for the.
So they got the green screens where on camera, when they're shooting music videos, you can literally just put whatever you want on there so they don't have to go anywhere, which is a great thing when you're thinking about investments. When you're thinking about stacking it and stashing it, you saving all your money and you buy a giant green screen with great cameras, great lighting, and then all you gotta do is just hire people. You can literally do whatever you want. Now, the cool thing is they probably still travel the world for their music videos, but you do not have to.
Tours and rehearsals.
They bought a forklift or a skyjack. I'm sorry, a forklift. See, that's how you know I'm broke. But they bought a skyjack, bro. All independent.
Coming up really soon because my first show is here in Kansas City on June 14th. I'm headlining Boulevardia and we haven't had one rehearsal yet, and I'm putting the show together now so I can send it to my band and we can start rehearsal next week. It's a blessing, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a blessing. Every time I come home from tour, if I'm gone for like 3 months, I come home and I just come in here and I see everything is still mind-blowing. I'll never get used to it because it's not written in blood that when you start a label in 2001 that it's gonna grow to something of this size, you know what I mean? And
And that was the point I was making when I said I'm pretty sure I knew why the major labels weren't working for him, because you can't promise this to anybody, bro. You can't imagine this. He probably couldn't imagine this. Like it was probably like a blurry vision in his head, and he was just trying to put the pieces together, and it's finally clicking.
It's a blessing, man. Me and Travis, we're always like, wow. You know, even though the major deals that I had didn't pan out, man, I couldn't let that just knock me all the way down and just say, you know what, I'm just gonna go.
Another thing back here too, this is where they have a lot of the connectivity for the machinery back there, maybe the televisions and all this stuff. And this clock, this giant clock, is just so everybody just is on the same page.
And go back to work or whatever. Nah, man, you know what I mean? I knew I had something special.
They have vacuums. Got to keep the floor clean, because you don't want your dancers walking around on dusty floors. You don't want stuff getting scratched up, and you generally just don't want pests.
And I wasn't gonna stop until people knew all over the world. And now we can give you green screen, all white out, you know, or black in the background, you know what I'm saying, for your videos.
Are people, are other artists coming in? And
Oh yes, you know what I'm saying? The Chiefs come here and they do commercials here.
Kansas City Chiefs film commercials here.
Patrick Mahomes.
The Kansas City Chiefs film commercials at their studio. Listen, this is another, we're probably gonna make a whole nother stream about this, but that's a great way to diversify your asset. So if you buy a studio, you can look at it as an asset because it's like owning something that other people can use. But the Kansas City Chiefs film their commercials there because you have a giant white wall. Like, of course you can just have a person stand there and pitch their product. That'd be perfect.
There one here. My uncle Ike took me to my first games when I was 5, you know what I mean? And I never thought that it would grow to something like this, to where, you know, they take Red Kingdom for their theme song, and next thing you know, they're renting out our space here to shoot commercials and things like that. So it's all a blessing. This wall was blown out by a tornado.
oh my gosh.
So this was before we built the soundstage. The reason why we built the soundstage, because the tornado took this whole wall.
Now, we just had all that great landscape we just got done looking about, and we just talked about how awesome it is and how expensive it is. Could you imagine spending all that money and then a fucking tornado knocks a wall down and you got to put a dent in your budget, and you still want to buy rolling trays and Henny?
So Travis said, nope, we're gonna expand it. Boom, let's go. And now we have Strangeland Soundstage. Which door are we going through, Sean?
Look at the back.
All right.
All right, so this building is yours. Next door is what?
Strange World, where we manifest
What?
all of our merch ideas.
I mean, this is getting to the size of like a theme park.
Listen, man, this is ridiculous, bro.
Every one of them's got vehicles inside of them too. So I mean,
Yes, sir.
look at this, y'all.
So, all right, we seen probably about a good, like, just in this video, we probably seen a good 12, maybe 17 cars. All probably insured, up to date, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
Strange World, the twins, they run this building.
So this is, okay, that's right. This is the building he was saying where they take all the t-shirts and merch, package them up, and then they're here, ready to go, ready to get shipped out, orders.
Twin brothers. And
That's pretty
this is where we
cool.
print all of our merch. Well, so,
Look at this.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, this is where they process.
Yeah.
So this is basically what you've built out in here is a concept of a pop-up store.
yes, sir. Yeah, man, people could come in here and choose what they want. But I think what me and Travis was talking about, it would have to be like invitation only or something.
Right. It's incredible.
All right. Now
There's trees.
you're entering Strange Box. Travis's toy room.
Oh, no.
Oh my. Oh. All right. First of all, we got the roll.
Yeah, he wasn't lying when he said toy box. It's kind of crazy.
Here,
Yeah.
dude.
Travis is in the car business.
Listen, man, he said Travis is in the car business.
First of all, we got the Rolls Royce here,
Yeah.
dude.
Travis
Yeah, that's insane, bro. You got Chevys, Mustangs.
is in the car business, so he buys cars and sells. You know what I
Lambos.
mean? Oh, it's a race car. You see the back of it? You know
And they're
what I'm
all
saying?
clean, of course. You know.
Look at them
He's a car
tires.
guy.
Yep.
It's pretty
This
cool.
is insane.
Strange box for you.
So these Volkswagen,
That's Travis, man. He's just, he's just a collector. And
I've never even seen these before. I mean, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's like some futuristic.
totally.
They look like EVs.
Rockfeed just visited the Strange campuses, man. You know what I mean? And what a wonderful trip it was.
I mean,
That's pretty crazy, bro. But yeah, at the end of the day, it goes to show you that, you can go from whatever lifestyle you're living right now to truly get whatever you have in your head. And if you can think as far as Tech Nine, or if you just want to, maybe you just want to start a school. You just want to teach other musicians and things like that. There's levels to it. But I think the best part about, seeing what we saw is it should show you proof, should show you proof that you have the options out there. But this was a late night at Dames. If you enjoyed this, y'all, make sure you let me know, because this is going to be the first of many. And make sure you check me out, y'all, and subscribe if you want to see all my other content, and hit the like button if you want to see some more. But I will see you guys